Hi everybody. So today we're starting the long process of turning this material into something that looks a lot like this. And as I was saying, if we weigh these parts, the finished part is about 1/10 the weight of the wood we're starting with. So we have a lovely set of material here, Sitka spruce from the Pacific Northwest. Not real sure whether this was cut in Canada or the US, but it's up there in that region. And from my favorite supplier out there, Pacific Rim Tone Woods. And they have marked this material so that we can tell that this is the match. And so here would be the match if we were going to join the outside of the tree together. And here would be the match on this side if we were going to glue the inside of the tree together. So typically, historically, it's done on the outside, and here's why. If we have a tree that's being prepared for, say, violin family material, it's often harvested like this. So in other words, looking at the end of the tree, we're splitting out pie-shaped sections, and not so easy to split curly maple, but really easy to split this stuff. And as I think I've mentioned before, splitting the material pre-selects for no grain run out. In other words, the fibers on the face of the split are parallel. That's why they split there. It splits the bonds in between the cellulose fibers are broken when you wedge them apart with a splitting froe or wedges of some kind. So normally we would take this part and move it here and then glue it like that, and then we'd get our violin or archtop guitar dome shape out of this part here. And you can see it's conservative of material, just a great method, because over here you don't need a lot of thickness because it's going to be the edge and it'll be thin. And in the middle where you do need the thickness for the loft of the arch, it's right there. You have it. Okay, now this set we have parallel material, so it's 1 inch thick or 25 millimeters, and now we have a choice to use either match. In other words, we could either match it this way, which is typical, like I said, historically, normally, when you receive wedges, you would match the thick edges, of course. But in this case, we have the chance to match it this way if we choose to. I may have said this before, but it's important not to miss the chance to make decisions when you're first starting using your material. In other words, which side is up? What's your favorite side of the wood? And to try and think ahead in the process and maximize your happiness with your final product. So now on to the next question is, okay, here's the match, right? Do we want to use it this way? Which, if you were building a flat top guitar, you wouldn't have this question, because flat top guitars are thin, and we're not doing any carving on a flat top guitar, so what you see is what you get. They would always be matched from the matched face, okay? But sometimes in archtop making, it makes more sense to do it the other way. So now the matched faces are down, and that means when we're done cutting away all the wood from here so that it ends up being thin, so this is maybe, 3.4 millimeters thick, about 1/8 of an inch thick on the edge. Now when this is thin, the match will be, the match surface is here on the glue joint. So the material at the edge is much closer to the match surface. And therefore, this will look, when we're all done, this will look more matched here and here than it would be if we put the matched faces up. So really, with material of this quality and everything is nice and straight and pretty, it probably doesn't matter a lot, but that still doesn't mean that we shouldn't think about it and try and do the best match we can, so we'll be happy with what we get. So I've decided to glue this up with the match surfaces down. So I'm still gluing up a match, still a match, but when I'm ready to carve it, I'm going to position the match on the bottom side for the reasons that I've just described, and I hope I've described it well enough. Okay, so the real match will be on this surface, and so this surface that we're going to see is a lot closer to the match surface than it would be if we did it this way. Anyway, that's that. All right, so next we're gonna flatten the bottom surfaces so that it'll lay flat without twisting, and it should be pretty good. But this is nice, relaxed material. It's good, but you can see that there is, it did deform a little bit when it was drying, and we're going to plane that out so that both of these surfaces that are going to be down when we glue the part are going to be nice and flat. We're going to do it with a hand plane. So, well, we'll start out here, and let's see. This little gizmo, help the vise stay nice and straight. And it's nice to have a regular woodworking bench with dogs on it. These are dogs. And I should have told you, but I should have demonstrated the flying dog. Okay, so now we're going to try and figure out, since we know our plane is flat, where our high spots are. Okay, so here we can see it's a little high in the center, and less so over here, but anyway, we know there's material in the center that we need to get rid of. Now, have a look to see how this, we'll look at this in the light. And yeah, we're getting a nice cut. Okay, so we've taken off, this is a heavy cut, of course, big fat cut, to just get the fuzz off of here. And now we're going to have a look at it and see if it's twisted. Now, the old-fashioned name in woodworking for twisted, you call a twisted surface inwinding. In other words, like wound up. So these are just, I happen to have these. You could use sticks of wood if they're straight. They're called winding sticks. And you get down here and eyeball them. And you can see the quality of the surface you have. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Looks to me like this side's a little high. So, and we'll take the plane here and see. Okay, plane's not rocking that way. But here, yeah, here we've got a little high spot. So the plane bottom is agreeing with what I've read on the winding sticks. Now this is taking a lot more material than I need right now. Back this off and see if we can finish this up. Okay, so we're pretty close. I'm going to downshift to a smaller cut and take out some plane marks. Okay, I think we're pretty good here. We'll check it before we proceed. But let me do the other one off camera, and then we'll joint the gluing edges.